Man, John Henry. At least Terry Crews wasn't dancing with a cheeseburger in this one. What's good with it, people? Welcome to the Joe Blacula Perspective Presents Behind the Curtain, where I will either be reviewing or revisiting movies and sharing my honest thoughts and opinions on them. And I am your host, the infamous Joe Blacula. Cue my drop.
Joe
Blacula.
Thank you kindly. John Henry, directed by Will Forbes, starring Terry Crews and Chris Ludacris Bridges, and also features Chicago's own Maestro Harrell, who plays a young Luda whose character's name is Hell. Maestro's people owns a popular hoagie spot here in Chicago called Taurus Flavors. His 8x10 pics were like all over the walls of the restaurant, man. Pics of him on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Pics of him when he was on The Wire. It was good to see young brother. Sidebar, it's something about when Henry is in your name, you can't just be John or Fred. It has to be like John Henry or Fred Henry. I had an uncle, I called him Uncle Fred, but his brother, my other uncle, my Uncle Bub, always called him Fred Henry. Like one name. Fred Henry! That's all I'd ever hear him yell at him. Fred Henry! So whenever I hear names like that, like it was a wrestler in the WWE named Mark Henry, it's like there's no pause between it. Fred Henry, Mark Henry, and now John Henry. I wonder, is that cultural? Are there like any redneck Luke Henrys or something? Sound like a character that should have been on Ozarks or something. Luke Henry. Luke Henry would have been running a meth lab or something. Alright, let's unpack this plot because this story is all over the place. So to hear Rotten Tomatoes tell it, ex-gang member John Henry trades violence for a quieter suburban life in South Los Angeles. But when he meets two immigrant children fleeing his former gang leader, John must make a difficult decision on whether or not to help them. From my POV with this movie, John Henry's character being in a gang to me was real cloudy. To me, it just looked like he was down with a crew that had broke bad and he faded on them. Let me clean that up. To me, it looked like he was associated with friends that weren't doing the right thing and he decided to part ways with them. How about that? Other than that, I can't really say what this story is about, other than it kind of hints on a redemption story / hood flick and slightly flirted with some sex trafficking. I just know that the tone was set for me 3 minutes into the movie with what happened to his dog Toby. You want to tug on my heartstrings? Let something happen to a dog in a movie. The entire John Wick series, what's motivating him, what kicked it all off is what happened to his dog. You don't play with a man's dog, man. For the record, I am a fan of Terry Crews. Been one since he had me rolling in Friday After Next as Damon. Liked him on Everybody Hates Chris, and I don't care what nobody says, man, keep them Old Spice checks coming in. You got to be a cold-hearted dude to hate on a brother with such a kind spirit. Now, I may have felt a certain kind of way with what he had said about Gabrielle Union and that whole America's Got Talent thing that had kicked off, or how he went about handling that whole Me Too incident that he had. But in case you didn't know, it's hard out here for a black man, and it's even harder out here in Hollywood. Dealing with all them snakes and freaks. Man, no telling what you gotta do to get a role in them. I'm going too far now. Yeah, I'm going too far. But for me, whenever I see this brother, he always radiates a sense of positivity. And it's hard for me to throw shade on a brother like that. One of the first things that I noticed was that the original music was provided by Compton OG production icon David DJ Quick Blake. People slept on Way Too Funky. Classic. Dollars and cents? Man, please. Man, to this day, I'm still waiting on a DJ Quick MC8 combo album. Y'all two brothers need to get it together. Do it for the home team, man. And the opening title sequence to the movie was real creative. And if you pay attention to it, the sequence actually lays the foundation of the story out. Visually, not to say that I'm some type of expert or something, I can tell that the director of photography, Isaiah Dante Lee, he knows what he's doing behind that camera. The framing, the lighting, shot selections are dope. It's just the story. I was not feeling the story, man. But it did keep my attention the whole way. It was just like watching a bad accident. You can't turn away from it. It's like, oh wow, look at that. Oh, that's terrible. Look at that. Well, stop looking at it if it's so terrible. I can't, man. It just got me. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Ludacris, that's my man. Definitely underrated as a lyricist. underrated. Once again, lyricist. And I say underrated because he needs to be in the top 10, if at not least the top 5 convo. At the least in the conversation of the top 5 convo. I don't hear that enough about Luda. Luda showed me in the movie Crash that he can act. These Fast and Furious movies have been, I mean, I get it, these are checks coming in. But I think given the proper opportunity that Luda can act, or is at least growing as an actor. But the character Hell that he's playing in John Henry, that character isn't really showing if he's growing as an actor or not. And I couldn't really tell if Luda's character was a sex trafficker, a drug dealer, a pimp. I still don't know. Actress Kimberly Herbert Gregory plays this sister that went to high school with John Henry. He runs into her at her gig and she immediately starts digging on him. Clearly she used to dig on him back when they was in high school. From what I can tell in the scene, she hadn't lost nothing for him. It slightly establishes some type of love interest that goes nowhere within the storyline. I had seen this sister last in the HBO series Vice Principals. You definitely should check her out on Vice Principals because it showcased that she can act. With this movie, with John Henry, I can tell that her acting was limited by the script. Sidebar: originally Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was supposed to play John Henry in a version of this movie. I'm not sure if it was going to be this version of the movie, but critics lambasted my man, stating that he wasn't black enough for the character of John Henry. Now what they meant by that, what they were saying without saying it, is that they didn't want to see a half black, half Samoan playing John Henry. They wanted to see an Ungawa Black Power, Black Fist raised in the air John Henry. They wanted a no doubt about this brother is black John Henry. A black Moses John Henry. Fred the Hammer Williamson. Isaac Hayes. Jim Brown. Like pure unadulterated black. In conclusion, it is very hard for me to say anything bad about black movies because I know how hard it is for black movies to get greenlit in Hollywood. Black movies meaning a black cast and a black director. It is a fine line between being critical and coming off as hating. So I try to focus on the positive points. Although it's certain black movies I'm just not gonna watch. Certain types of black movies from certain types of black film directors I'm not gonna watch. I'm gonna respect your hustle and show support by not publicly dropping a deuce on you, but yeah, no. The thing that I'm more so bugging about right about now is that there is a whole generation of people that never heard the story of John Henry that I grew up on. And then they might see this movie, hear all the versions of the songs that I grew up hating, and think that they're actually talking about Terry Crews. The only connection that Terry Crews had with the John Henry from the stories is the sledgehammer and the name. And they did do an updated version of the song. An updated version of the song that I grew up hating. I remember one specifically from Johnny Cash. I don't know why that version of it, mind you, I know they singing about a black man. It just sounds real racist to me. Love, hate, or debate. John Henry is debatable for me, and I give it 2 black fists out of 5. The story was not keeping me, and I could see the over-stylized looks of the scenes when there was some gunplay happening, and the writing, man, the writing. What I will say is that I think this movie would have been more appreciated back in 1993 and during the late 1990s during that direct-to-DVD movie era. Yeah, this definitely would have made a killing back then. Sidebar: Scarface, MC8, and Spice One, I think, was supposed to have done a movie. Whatever happened to that? But the DP, the director of photography, or the cameraman, Isaiah Dante Lee, I'm gonna make sure that I keep up with him, and I'm hoping that the director, Will Forbes, keeps at it, because regardless of my loose change opinion, meaning that it ain't worth a lot, my man's figured out a way how to get this movie made, released in theaters, and dropped on Netflix. For anybody, hell, especially for a black man, that is not an easy task. Alright, put a bow on this one because it is a wrap. If this was your first time visiting, your attendance was much obliged and highly appreciated. My reviews will get better, and until I hit the bullseye, I'm gonna keep throwing these damn darts. Please like, share, hit the subscribe button. What the hell? Man, the city, man. Please like, share, hit the subscribe button. I need to reach 25,000 subscribers. Copy the link, send a text. Did you watch John Henry? If so, what did you think? Had you ever heard of him before now? If not, look him up. Let me know what you think. Why don't black people have more of these folk heroes? Or do we need them? Would they serve a purpose overall like Santa Claus? Either way it goes, comment below, let a brother know, and I will holler black in a few ticks. In a minute, people.